Hello, welcome to News Center. I'm Parikshit Luthra. Today marks the third anniversary of Russia's war on Ukraine. 3 years ago on this very day, Moscow began a full-scale invasion of its neighboring country, bombarding Ukrainian cities with airstrikes. Within a few weeks, Russia had captured large parts of northeastern, east and southern Ukraine. Armed with arsenal from Western nations, Kyiv began its pushback. However, after 3 years of fighting, Russia is currently occupying 18% of Ukraine. Moreover, the cloud of uncertainty on whether the war would end is growing. America's support towards Ukraine is not ironclad anymore. US President Trump has publicly slammed Zelenskyy for not making a deal with Putin soon. He has also demanded $500 billion worth of profits from rare earth minerals. Government officials from Washington and Moscow met in Riyadh earlier this month to discuss a way to end the war. Ukraine, however, wasn't invited. Kyiv insists that they want Washington on their side. Leaders from several nations arrived in Kyiv today to mark the anniversary. Among them were Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, the head of the European Commission Ursula von der Leyen, and the Prime Minister of Spain Pedro Sanchez.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy said on Sunday that he's willing to step down if it would bring peace to Ukraine, even suggesting he could trade his resignation for his country's NATO membership.
I'll do it immediately without a long conversation about it. I'm focused on Ukraine's security today and not in 20 years. I don't plan to be in power for decades. Therefore, that's my aim and my dream.
His comment came after a week where U.S. President Donald Trump has pushed for elections in Ukraine and called Zelenskyy a dictator. That's also a claim Russia has used to question Zelenskyy's legitimacy. However, Ukraine legislation prohibits elections under martial law, and both Zelenskyy and his political rivals oppose elections during wartime. On Sunday, Zelenskyy also said he had hoped to see Trump as a partner for Ukraine, not only as a mediator to end the war with Russia.
What do I want from Donald Trump? I think that if we support and believe what he is saying, then I want the same as he wants, to end the war as soon as possible. We have the same views here, and I truly believe that he wants and will help us to end this war. But peace through force means to direct that force towards Russia. I think that's what the expression peace through force means. We are partners, and I want him to be on our side. I don't want just mediation because I think it's not enough.
It was the latest sign of tension rising between the two leaders on the cusp of the third anniversary of Russia's invasion on Monday. Days before, Trump said Ukraine should give the U.S. $500 billion in critical raw materials as payback for aid that Kyiv got under the Biden administration.
So I want them to give us something for all of the money that we put up.
On Sunday, Zelenskyy rejected that demand and said a deal cannot be based on repaying what was already given. And earlier in the week, he declined to sign a U.S. proposal that would have given Washington 50% of Ukraine's key minerals like graphite and lithium. Zelenskyy has said he wants to do a deal, but wants security guarantees for Ukraine in return. Separately, U.S. officials have begun direct talks with Russia without Kyiv's involvement, raising concerns in Europe that Ukraine could be excluded from peace talks. On Monday, the United Nations General Assembly is set to vote on a U.S.-backed resolution urging an end to the war. The resolution, which does not explicitly reaffirm Ukraine's sovereignty, is competing with an EU-backed version that more firmly supports Kyiv's position. The outcome could signal a shift in global support as Ukraine enters a fourth year of war.
To take this discussion ahead, I'm now joined by former diplomat Ashok Sajjanhar and Ukrainian MPs Oleksiy Goncharenko and Sviatoslav Yurash with us. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us on the program. Mr. Oleksiy, let me ask you about the drone attack that took place last night. This was the highest number of drones that were used in a single attack ever since the war began 3 years ago. What is the kind of message that Russia is trying to send out, according to you?
It's a very clear message. Russia doesn't want peace. That's all. They don't want any peace. They want to continue aggression. They want to continue the war. That is their message.
Right. I would also like to ask you, do you worry as to what is now going to happen with Trump trying to negotiate a deal with Putin, with Zelenskyy not at the table, EU not at the table? He has also blamed Ukraine for, in a way, starting this war and for creating conditions which led to the Russian invasion of Ukraine. We're looking at Ukrainian papers. All of them are expressing shock and disbelief with the kind of statements that are coming from the White House. But do you worry about what lies ahead?
First of all, the United States never, even President Trump, never said that Ukraine started the war. He said something that it could be prevented and was not prevented, something like this. But even he explained then later that he understands that it's Russia who started the war. It's clear for everybody in the world. 3 years ago in the night, Russian army just started to attack Ukrainian cities by missile attacks and everything else. Never ever Ukrainians crossed Russian border, but it happened absolutely opposite. So who started the war? It's clear for everybody in the world. Do I have concerns about recent American rhetorics? Yes, I have. But is it already kind of catastrophe? No, it's not. Because rhetorics is rhetorics. United States is our firm ally, and they were supporting us during these 3 years. And I think they will continue to do this. If not, the whole world will make a decision that the United States can't be a reliable partner. I don't think that United States wants this. I am sure that President Trump doesn't want this. So I don't think that we will be without United States, and I don't think that they will change the sides. I think it's just impossible.
Right. Let me go across to Ambassador Sajjanhar as well. Ambassador Sajjanhar, many foreign affairs experts are worried about Trump's approach to ending the war in Ukraine and how this could actually lead to a wider war in Europe. Do you think we are close to a solution right now, or any kind of negotiated settlement is still far off?
Yeah, thank you very much, Parikshit. You know, I think we are closer to a ceasefire, let me put it this way, than we have ever been in the past 3 years so far. But you know what worries me is that this ceasefire and whether this is going to lead to a final solution, as you put it, a peace between the two countries, and it is going to be on what terms and conditions. Is it going to be a fair, final agreement that is reached? Is it going to be a just final agreement? Because, you know, the manner in which it has started, what Mr. Trump had said, he's going to stop the war. Now he has gone and been in touch with the Russians without having the Ukrainians and the Europeans also at the negotiating table. And the sort of commentary that he has given on President Zelenskyy, that he's a dictator, there are no elections that have been held, I think this is I think this has really shocked not only Ukraine, but people in Europe and the world around. This is, putting the whole foreign policy of the United States 180 degrees, putting it on its head. So it is very difficult to say. Mr. Trump is not predictable at all, which doesn't help you to say what is going to happen going forward. But I think we are closer to a ceasefire on whatever terms, whatever terms it might be. I think that will have to be decided. But how the final solution is going to be, it's still a big question mark. Parikshit.
Now, when we look at what's happening, do you think there is war fatigue also setting in, both in Russia and Ukraine? And the reason why I'm asking is President Trump is saying that he will make Ukraine pay for the billions of dollars in aid that had been transferred to Ukraine by the Biden administration. He's wanting Ukraine to sign a critical minerals agreement, and he wants Ukraine to pay back for whatever aid has been given out. Do you get a sense that Ukraine would be left with very few options after President Trump negotiates some sort of deal with Russia?
I think Ukraine has very few options at the moment because, it was really relying and banking on weaponry coming in from the United States and Europe. Europe still continues to be there. They have said that they are going to stand by Ukraine. But then without the United States, even with the United States, there was not much that, Ukraine was able to do. It is Russia has still been able to take about 18-20% of the territory of Ukraine. But, I must compliment and applaud President Zelenskyy for having stood strong against these bullying tactics from America that you sign on the dotted line and, barter away $500 billion of your children's future to America. And because, this is not the time when you start talking about this. If you've been friendly, if you've been helpful, the time for payback will come later. This is, when Ukraine is fighting with its back to the wall. This means that he's taking the Russian agenda even, Parikshit, further than what the Russians themselves are asking. Not only is he saying that, all the territory will go to Russia, but also that I want demand my pound of flesh.
Right. That same question to the Ukrainian MP on our panel today, Ambassador Sajanar. Mr. Oleksiy, is this a worry for you that Ukraine won't have too many options, the way President Trump is saying that Ukraine needs to pay back for whatever aid has been given out by the United States?
About this deal, we don't know if, for the moment, what is exactly said in this deal. If it's about economic cooperation, that American companies will produce minerals in Ukraine or other natural resources, and they can have some special regime for them, all like this, I completely support it. But if it's giving us a bill after 3 years, when it was said it is a grant, it was never, you shouldn't pay for this. And Ukraine was not the side which was choosing what to receive from the United States. It was always the United States of America who chose what to give us. And 70% of this money were left in the United States, in their military production companies, creating jobs in the United States, paying taxes in the United States. So I don't think it's fair to say now you should pay for this. Also, we can't understand where is this sum $500 billion, where it comes from. Because with all respect, all support is needed, but we never received $500 billion. That's something we should know. You should know. So that's why I think that it depends on the wording, and I hope the wording will be fair both for Ukraine and for the United States.
Right. Let me go back to Ambassador Sajanar. Ambassador Sajanar, now, when it comes to the larger question of Europe's security, just days ago, J.D. Vance also raised concerns about Europe's decline, saying that Europe is not playing its part in the world. There are also concerns among other European partners such as Germany, Sweden, everyone who had not given too much attention about military spending, arming themselves. Everyone is now stepping up when it comes to weapons development, weapons acquisition. Do you think what Trump is doing vis-a-vis Ukraine will cause concerns in the rest of Europe, and countries will feel that we're not sure about the sanctity of NATO as well?
Absolutely. I think in a short term, the Europeans are going to really, feel the brunt from President Trump, from Washington, D.C., because so far they have not really been investing all that money in their own security, in their own defense. And in Trump 1.0, we had seen that, Mr. Trump was asking for 2% of the GDP of all the countries to be invested for their own security and defense, because he said that, it cannot be a free lunch. I cannot be providing you with an umbrella of security when you are not working towards it yourself. Now he has apparently increased the demand to 5%. But be that as it may, I think the Europeans have realized that they do not have a choice but to dig in and, start spending much more on their defense than they have been doing. There are countries like Poland or the others who are on the border with the Russian Federation. They have been spending 4%, getting on to close to 5%. But I think other countries, the United Kingdom, France, Germany, the big countries, the big economies, they will also be forced to do that. And having said that, I think it is going to take them a little time. They're going to have very difficult circumstances over the short term. But, if they keep at it and they formulate their own security and defense policy, as they have been talking, since Lisbon Treaty 2009, that they are going to do that. If they get down to it seriously, I think they have, in the medium term, in about 5-10 years' time, they will be much stronger to take care of their own security. But the short term is definitely going to be a problem.
All right, Mr. Olakzai, my final question to you. What kind of negotiated settlement would be agreeable to Ukraine right now? President Zelenskyy has said that he's willing to step aside if it means Ukraine joining the NATO. But when it comes to a negotiated settlement to end this war, what would be the terms, the contours that would be most acceptable to the Ukrainian people?
I think our red lines are next. First of all, we're a sovereign nation. It means that we're making our own choices about what army to have, where to move to join European Union, to join NATO if NATO will take us. That is very important for us just to secure this. We're a sovereign nation and Russia doesn't have any word on this. Second thing, about our territorial integrity. Speaking about our territorial integrity, it may be after end of hostilities, Russia will continue to control some part of our territory for some time, but this is Ukrainian territories. That's something we all need to remember. So not us, no our allies should ever accept that this is Russia, and the day will come and we will restore our territorial integrity. And the third thing is that we need to receive security guarantees. In other case, it will not be a peace, but just a short ceasefire.
All right, we've run out of time, but Olakzai, Goncharenko and Ambassador Sajjanar, thank you very much for joining us here on News Center on the 3rd anniversary of the Ukraine-Russia war and what a toll it's taken on the people of Ukraine as well. We are taking a short break here on News Center, but don't go anywhere. More news and updates continue on the other side.